So Lorraine, tell us about your upcoming book.
Well, I've written an autobiography, and it starts at my birth and goes through to the end of my fourth Olympic Games. So it essentially covers a span of about 42 years.
So those four Olympic Games include your birth?
Uh, well, it starts with my birth. No.
Oh, okay. Yes.
And it goes through my childhood and the motivations for me becoming a runner,
Okay.
and how those experiences then influenced my life later on. It's a story of Olympics, high-level athletics, my personal relationships, looking for love in all the wrong places, I suppose, and eventually finding it. The disappointments, the triumphs, the mind over matter, and...
But Lorraine, does it dish the dirt?
Does it dish the dirt? Well, you've read it, Gary.
Yes, but I haven't read the revised version.
Yeah. Yes, it's very candid. I've been told it's very candid. And my mother thinks it's too candid. When I wrote it, I did not write it for an audience. I wrote it as a way of reconciling my past, of being able to move on from the athlete to the next phase of my life. And so I didn't hold back. And it was probably, Gary, one of the most valuable exercises that I've ever done. It really allowed me to see my life in a way that was very fulfilling and empowering.
Well, I've had a read of it, obviously.
Yes.
And I must admit it was a very good read. But then again, I'm a little bit biased.
Yes.
What's the sort of reaction that people outside of the family have had, Lorraine?
Well,
they've read it.
Yeah, I've had the book read by some aspiring runners, Olympic hopefuls, and they loved it. I've had it read by people who are non-athletic, and they saw their story in it as well. So it's not a sports story per se, it's a personal story.
It's not a training program.
No, it's not a training book. That you might pick up some hints in there, but it's also a story about women's evolution in sport. It has a first-hand historical perspective on quite a few events that were very important. And but most of all, I think it's a story about finding magic within oneself.
So what's the title?
It's called On the Wings of Mercury.
Why On the Wings of Mercury?
Well, because Mercury is the Roman god of... he's a runner, and he is the go-between between the godly realm and the earthly realm. So he delivers messages from above to mortal folk like myself. And in the 1984 Olympics, I went out and bought myself a gold medal because I didn't win one and I was very disappointed. So I went and bought this medal, and it had Mercury on it. So in a sense, Mercury came into my life at the time of the Olympics, and in a metaphorical way, but in some ways in a very real way, he became a guide for my journey through athletics. And I really feel that that Mercury is the god of also the crossroads, that this whole journey is about a series of crossroads, and the decisions that we make at each one of those crossroads is an opportunity for us to redefine ourselves. And if we can take the path that has some risk and not go the same old well-worn route all the time, that we can fulfill our potential that we have here. And so that really was what Mercury signified to me. And so, and he's still very apart. Well, he's god of communication, so now I've gone from the runner to the writer, and so Mercury is still very much a part of my life.
And lots of pictures?
Yes, there's some really good pictures, wonderful running photos. You know, and I think that people will find that even though it's so candid, it's not a heavy book. I think I read it and I find, you know, I get a good laugh out of it.
I must admit, I really enjoyed the writing style. And how many pages is it?
Oh, it'll be a few hundred pages, yeah. Just a standard size book.
Well,
Yeah.
Now, what is the standard size book, Lorraine?
I don't know the dimensions,
I
Gary.
I keep reading children's books.
It's not a children's book.
No, it's definitely
it's an adult's book. Yes.
Yes.
And also an insight into the world of big time athletics. And
Sure.
you know, the morality issues, money issues, drug issues, and all these things that I observed, which are first-hand accounts.
And did anybody help you write it?
No, I wrote it myself.
Of course.
Yes, and I wrote it very much like you run a marathon. I started at the beginning, and I kept going until one day I went, oh, the end.